Hello and happy new year. It's hard to believe we're here already on the 1st of January 2026. Last year absolutely flew by. But before we get into the first beer tasting of the year, you know the drill. Let's get over to interesting beer news. Interesting beer news. It really is very interesting. Terms and conditions apply. Please visit a website that doesn't exist for more details. Hello! It's only the 1st of January, so I don't have any. So come back next week. Go on, sling your hook. Now, January for some is all about dry January, but I, for one, am in the try January camp. So I will continue to keep bringing you new brews week on week and hopefully brews that you've never come across before. And this week's brew is from a brewery that was founded by Ray Ashworth and David Crease back in 1981. And they founded this particular brewery just to the east of Norwich, which was towards a town called Drayton. And that particular brewery is Woodford's Brewery. And I'm going to bring you Bure Gold. So I have high expectations for this particular brew, and so much so I've actually got a mini keg of it. So some of you may have seen these mini kegs around from different breweries before, and I've yet to try this one. So I am actually excited to get it open and give it a go. So just before we do that, I did take a little look on their website, and they have a fantastic section on there with regards to their history and their story of the brewery itself. So they actually started off, as mentioned, in 1981, but they used some of the equipment from the Bass Experimental Brewery in Burton upon Trent. So that's where they actually started off, which is really quite interesting. So go on their website and give it a go and see what you think in terms of their history. So let's get down to business and open up the keg. So it has a few instructions on the side of the mini keg, just in terms of how to get the ale flowing. So it says fold the small bracket to the front, pull the tap out, push the lever down, and then there's actually a vent on the top, which I believe you're supposed to turn once the flow actually starts to reduce. So if I just put it on the edge here and give it a bit of a pull, and I heard a click there, so I'm assuming that's more so just to make sure that the tap itself actually stays put. So I'm going to give the lever a bit of a pull. Oh, well, I'm sure that's what it's supposed to do. Maybe go a little bit slower. What on earth? Let's just see. Surely that's not the case. Because that is going some. Maybe it was just a little too frantic with the tap initially. Starting to... Having said that, look at that. Clearly not what it's supposed to do. But then I know on the side of the mini keg it actually says when the flow starts to decrease, that's when you turn the pressure valve on the top. And you can actually see the ale is starting to settle despite the fact that there's a massive head on it. But it's hard to believe how much pressure there is in that mini keg. I followed the instructions, so I'm assuming that's the way it's supposed to be. But anyway, whilst I let that settle, what I was going to say was I do have a friend that lives in Norwich, and whenever I do go to visit him, I do love to go into Norwich city centre itself, because what an incredible ale capital it is. There's such an array of different bars, and real ale meccas to visit in Norwich. So if you ever get a chance to go there, I highly, highly recommend it. As you can see, absolute state. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but I'm going to let it settle a little while. Before hitting record, I did check the website just to see if it noted on there the hops that they use. And strangely, Woodford's seem to be quite secretive on their hops. They have put something on the side of the keg that clearly states that lightly roasted pale malts are used, combined with hops from America, Slovenia, and Britain. That's all it states. So it doesn't actually give you the hops that they use in there. And there must be a reason why, whether they're just keeping the recipe a secret, who knows? And it says on the back here as well, just in terms of the mini keg, once you've opened it, to use within 3 to 4 days. That's not going to be an issue for me. Having said that, if it continues to pour like it is doing at the moment, it's going to take me a little while to get through. Look at the state of that. Right, let's just give it a go. To be honest, I can't really smell a huge amount from it. I don't know whether that's because the fact that it still needs a little time to settle, and all I'm smelling is the head on top of it. It's a nice, from what I can see of it, it's a nice straw colour. Let's see if I can give it a taste. Yeah, it's just such a shame. Because when that happens, in terms of like a real foamy head, I can only really taste. This probably sounds a bit strange, but I can only actually taste the head. I don't really know any other way of trying to explain it to you, but it's like almost a bitterness. I don't know whether you've had like a really heavy head beer before, especially when you need to give it time to settle. But when it's real foamy like that, there's even a certain smell to it. There's definitely a certain taste to it, but you can't actually taste the ale as such, not really. Ah, that's getting much, much better now. Now that it's actually given, been allowed a bit of time to settle. Just out of curiosity, see, normally now I've tried it, I'd just let that kind of get down to a real base level. But just out of curiosity, whilst I'm recording, I'm just going to see whether it hasn't slowed down. Okay. Right, so what I've done is I've really opened that valve and it's flowed a little bit more. Yes, it's making a complete and utter mess, but I just completely opened the tap instead of just dripping everywhere, instead of only ever so slightly. And what I would probably say is once you've kind of allowed that excess pressure to go through the mini keg itself, it probably will start to flow quite nicely. Because towards the end there, it did start to flow quite well, but I couldn't allow it much more because the head had already overflowed the glass, and of course I don't want to make a complete mess everywhere. But yeah, in terms of its taste profile, from what I can taste, nice and smooth, that is for sure. It's not, how can I describe it? It's not overly punchy. So it is a 4.3% golden ale. So 4.3% isn't overly heavy anyway. With a golden ale, as opposed to a pale ale, I always find that golden ales do taste a little stronger generally. But I can't taste it all that well. Look at the state of that. That's not what you want. Let's just give it another go. Yeah, it's really kind of heavy on the head. I'm looking forward to kind of getting rid of that excess pressure and allowing it to flow well, just to kind of give it a bit of a better try. But here we are. I wanted to obviously open the keg first time whilst bringing it to you, and you've seen the reality of it. Taste, yes, nice, smooth, not overly punchy. Like I say, at 4.3%, kind of expected that anyway. Nice straw colour, but very much an easy drinker, that is for sure. So I'm going to continue trying to allow it to flow quite freely. Before you know it, the mini keg will be gone. Cheers. Whoa, whoa, stop. Before you go, I did allow it to filter through in terms of its pressure, and I have released the valve just to vent the keg. And I wanted to show you, just after a couple of seconds, it did really start to decrease in terms of its flow. And now look, much, much better. So you haven't got that excess pressure, which I'm assuming keeps the real ale fresh in its mini keg. And now what we're getting is a nice steady flow of ale. And you'll see, without me making a complete mess this time, it has actually poured out really quite well. There you go, a nice straw colour. Looks really quite inviting. And thankfully, it hasn't made a complete mess everywhere this time. Let's just give it another quick go. Much better. You haven't got that foaminess there that I was experiencing before. Taste profile, very much more so on the bitter end, I find, but there is like a nice sweet aftertaste to it. So I do find that with golden ales quite often, is they're a lot more bitter. But once again, it's a real easy drink. So there you go. Wanted to just show you, once you do let the excess pressure out of the keg and vent it on the top with this little tab here, you're good to go. Anyway, I'm off now. Doodle pip.